Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the Summer of Lovecraft. Eldritch Horror had to get split into two videos, and we're going to start part 2 here. As we left part 1 off, we had replaced Rita and Amanda, and the board is starting a decline a bit. Things are getting a little bit out of control. We're still stuck on the last adventure of the first mystery, trying to make slow progress on that. So let's drop back down to the board. Charlie will be our first player, so we'll drop down to the board. That was probably an incredibly long-winded way of saying I don't likely have a chance to win this game, but we're going to give it our best shot. So Charlie's going to get a ship ticket, and then he's going to move down to Antarctica, which that can actually go away. That will do it for Charlie, so I think our second player will be... Ooh. I don't have any weapons on Tony right now, so maybe trying to cycle that. Actually, I think Michael will be our second player. First things first, Michael needs to rest because he is still in pretty bad shape. He's a little better now, but there are enough cards that can make you lose 2 sanity, so let's not take a chance on that. Then action 2, he'll move to the Nile River. That will do it for Michael. Our third player this round will be... I still need firepower before I go after that Honored Dead, so I think our third player will be Tony. Once again, we can get both Tony and Wilson in shot. So action 1, Tony will move up to Rome. Action 2, he'll take a focus. And then Wilson will spend his train ticket to get up to Space 14 with Amanda. And then he'll take a focus. That will do it for Wilson. That will do it for the action phase. Encounter phase first, and let's move down to Antarctica with Charlie. Right now, I'm kind of relying on hitting the jackpot from the expedition deck. I'll deal with moving that in a sec after this is over. But first up, let's do this. You hear a faint sound echoing up from the caves that lead down into the darkness. You listen carefully to discern the sound's origin. Observation. Okay, we'll bring the dice tower into shot. 3 dice for observation. We don't have any in there. Do we want the... I think we'll spend a focus and see what happens. We'll have to fail that out. Mostly because I want to have a focus for the second part of the encounter. Tekalili! Tekalili! You recognize it too late. The Shoggoths overwhelm you. Strength -1. The sledgehammer gives him +1, which will get cancelled out. And I have rerolls on strength tests, which I will use. Using the focus, and fail. Well, this just keeps getting better and better. This thing does not want to focus for me. There we go. If you fail, you escape by jumping off a ledge. Gain a leg injury condition. Ouch. Then the expedition is moving to the heart of Africa. We'll get the leg injury out for Charlie, and I think we've already had somebody up. We had Michael pick one up earlier, so no need to look at it again. So a leg injury for Charlie. Right. Let's see, that will do it for Charlie. Now we'll move up to Michael. Michael will have a location encounter at the Nile River. The river runs red with blood and fire rains down from the skies. The Dark Pharaoh has brought the ancient plagues to fill you with dread. Will +1. Okay. So 4, 5 dice. There's a couple passes in there, so we just avoid bad stuff. Nothing that can be done there. But, more importantly, we get the chase on the river. After an investigator resolves a location encounter on the Nile River, he may attempt to track the museum thief along the river valley. Observation -1. Well, fortunately in this game you roll a minimum of 1 die. And Michael has a corruption condition, so if a reckoning comes up, I do have some Eldritch tokens to play with. I'll burn a focus for a reroll. Burn the other focus. Actually, I have fewer Eldritch tokens than I get to roll an additional die for an observation test. And this is an observation test, so this is the additional die for that. Alright, I will take let's take 1 Eldritch token. Because the problem is, if I take my 3rd one, I'll get devoured as soon as I take the 4th one. And I can't afford to have that happen. No. That's unfortunate. Anyway, that will do it for Michael. Now let's move over to... Okay, let's move over to Tony. We need both Tony and Wilson in shot. Tony's up first with a Roman counter. You ask an American priest to tell you the reason for his visit. Influence -1. Influence is 2, -1 is 1. This is going to be a problem. A 4. I'll spend the focus because I saw what the result is, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit and fail. Of course. If you fail, he leaves and the room grows dark. Gain a cursed condition. Oh joy. And then Wilson will be encountering Amanda. She, like Rita, was defeated by sanity. You learn of Amanda's death from the front page of a local paper. The article describes how bystanders saw her walk into the ocean and get carried away by the tide. After some digging around, you find all her things at a nearby hotel. Gain all of her possessions. Not that she had much. She just had the Eye of Darkness and the Unspeakable Research with no Eldritch tokens on it. You search her room for anything that might explain her disappearance. Observation. His observation is 2, which is pretty iffy at best. But at least we'll be able to keep Wilson moving after this. There's a success, though. If you pass, you find detailed accounts of her final days. Retreat doom by 1, so we're back up to 9. Then whether you pass or not, discard her investigator token. So that goes there. That brain goes there. That will go for the binder. Alright, that will do it for the encounter phase. Now let's move back up top for the mythos phase. This is certainly starting to look like the game of Eldritch Horror that just does not want to end. Anyway, next card from the deck of Doom is a yellow. Oh boy. Alright, so advance the Omen by 1. We have... How many blue gates do we have on the board? We have 3. So 1, 2, 3, which means Charlie will fail his personal story. So we'll take a look at that real quick. Discard to gain the Dark Times. When you perform an Acquire Assets action, increase the value of each card in the reserve by 1. Ouch. That's a problem. Here we go. Reckoning, oh joy. Alright, so monsters. I don't think we have any monsters. Oh, we do. The Honored Dead. On a 1 or a 2, bring the dice tower and shot for this. On a 1 or a 2, Tony will become cursed, which will actually flip his curse condition. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Just barely no whammy. But man, I've never seen a curse condition flip on camera, so that was a very dangerous time. So monsters, Ancient One, we gain 2 more Eldritch tokens. I think I'll have... I cannot afford Michael to take one because we're going to be going into Reckoning. We're going to be going into Possessions and Conditions here in a second. We'll have our freshest investigators take Eldritch tokens. Okay, so that's the Ancient One. Mythos card, so this goes off. All clues come off. All clues are discarded and come off the board. So we've got that, that, and that. We might have two. We might end up having 2 more turns before the Ancient One wakes up. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Then solve this rumor. So I assume the TikTok men get defeated at that point as well. At least that's how I'm going to rule that. But I'm probably wrong knowing me, but hey. Somebody will correct me in the comments down below. Anyway, Mythos cards, we did that. Possessions and Conditions. Okay, this is going to suck. So, let's see. Charlie loses his sanity from despair. Then he's got to test strength. He's at 3 right now. Let's bring the dice tower in shot because we're going to need it here, especially for Charlie and Michael, who have been around the game for a while. Okay, so we're testing for leg injury first. Okay, I'll roll that through the tower. I think you got like 6 sanity. We do have a pass in there, so leg injury doesn't flip. We lost the sanity. We gain an Eldritch token, then flip his card. Then flip his corruption. So this is at 4 corruption. Actually, Michael can't even take a Dark Pact right now. You may gain a Dark Pact condition to discard all of your Eldritch tokens. I think we will go ahead and clear his Eldritch tokens here. And then he'll take a Dark Pact. I normally don't like playing with these, but... You seem to have aged a year in the last day. Your body and soul both dimmed by some unnatural transformation. For each Eldritch token you have, lose 1 and 1 unless you've discarded possession, then flip. So we just cleared all of Charlie's Eldritch tokens with a Dark Pact. We don't roll for the Dark Pact because we just got it, but that's potentially be a huge problem. Internal injury as well. We rolled the leg injury, but not the internal injury. Internal injury also doesn't flip. Keep these dice close by. Michael is going to roll his Dark Pact first, because if he's able to clear that, then we can potentially take a corruption and clear... We can potentially take another Dark Pact and clear his corruption. Assuming he survives the Dark Pact flipping, which I have my doubts about. A 6, so it actually doesn't flip, which is very bad. Let's see, we'll test amnesia first. Actually, we'll do it this way. I don't have another set of dice. Actually, we'll just use these. We'll just use blessed dice. So, this is just for color, also so I can save myself a little bit of time. I'm going to use the green dice. That's set for his amnesia. The blue dice are going to be for the leg injury. And I have to remember that I'm rolling... The blessed dice right now are only in name. They're just to help me differentiate the colors. Neither one flips, so that's good. Okay. Alright, so neither one of those flips, and then we gain a corruption and flip. And unfortunately, Michael can't take a Dark Pact because he already has one. So we have to see what happens here at 3. You may gain a Dark Pact to discard all of your Eldritch tokens. This time when you looked in the mirror, the reflection was completely unfamiliar to you. What could that alien thing be? Lose 1 sanity for each Eldritch token you have, then flip, and Michael has bitten the dust. So we advance Doom again by 1. At this point, I'm honestly tempted to just tap out on this game of Eldritch Horror, because things are going completely haywire right now, and it's starting to rain pretty hard outside. And the video is going to take me quite a while to put together anyway. Actually, it's more likely going to be videos, because I'm expecting one part of this to hit the 3-hour limit, and that was at the end of the action phase. He didn't have 2 or more. Okay, so right, those go there. Those go there. Conditions go away. Michael was defeated by sanity, because of course he was. Nearest city will probably end up being space 15. Okay. Right, those are spent. So Michael is also out. Jeez. So we're losing most of our original team. Go figure. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. What did I do with the... we're actually not done with Reckonings yet. Tony needs a blessed success to get rid of this curse. A 6 actually gets him rid of it, so that's fabulous. He was only cursed... Yeah, he got the curse... Right, he got the curse during the encounter phase. Never mind. Okay, now that we got that straight... what did I do? Here's the Mythos card. And we spawn a gate. Joy, joy, joy. Right. Gate. Going to Shanghai. Oh, fantastic. Just what I wanted to see. We have a Deep One hybrid out. Straight will, 1 success to not lose sanity. Strength -1. 1 toughness to not take damage, or 1 success to not take damage, 1 toughness to kill. When you defeat this monster during a combat encounter, lose 1 sanity and gain 1 random item asset from the deck. Joy. Once inside the lodge, your host invites you to follow him upstairs. Several members stare in astonishment. Outsiders are rarely granted such access. At the top of the stairs, you are ushered into a library filled with rare and exotic tomes. Now, he says, how can we help you? Each investigator may do one of the following: gain a clue, gain an asset, or gain a spell. Well, I think Charlie... Influence of... Actually, Charlie's going to gain an asset, I think. The only question is, which one am I going to gain? Am I going to gain the security squad? Or the Silver Twilight Ritual? I can probably leave the Silver Twilight Ritual for somebody else to grab. So I'll grab the security squad, since his influence is actually getting up there as well. Then we'll get a fresh asset from the for the reserve. We'll find 25 automatic, which lets you roll 1 additional die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. Okay, so Tony will gain an asset as well. He'll gain the Silver Twilight Ritual, which will let us retreat Doom by 1. Not that I think it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things, but we need another asset for the reserve. We find Forbidden Secrets for 2 successes. Gain +1 will during combat encounters. When you resolve a will test during a combat encounter, if you didn't lose sanity, gain a clue. And then speaking of clues, I think Wilson will gain a clue. No, he's actually going to gain the Forbidden Secrets for 2. And then we'll draw. Assassination for 2. When you gain this card, immediately choose a monster on any space. The chosen monster loses 2 health. Ooh. That could be something, that could have been something very useful earlier on, but now we have to pick another investigator for the Summer of Love. We have to pick another investigator. Once again, we'll shuffle the stack of the eligibles. Normally I'd do this on a spreadsheet, but I haven't configured the crossover spreadsheet yet. And we'll cut that, and there's our replacement investigator. Silas Marsh joins the team. So I'll go ahead and set him up off camera, and then we'll take a look at Silas. Alright, so here's Silas Marsh, the sailor. We'll flip him over. Another 8 and 4. Good grief. Action, move 1 space along a ship path, then perform 1 additional action. If you are on a sea space, investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests. Leave your fears to the docks, lads. I'll not carry that cargo. The wind is up. Full sail. 1 lore and 3s all across the board otherwise. He'll start off in Sydney. Starts with his fishing net, which we'll look at, and then his personal story. Even as a child in Innsmouth, Silas had a special connection to the sea. He's an able and well-reasoned man on land, but on the ocean he possesses a singular strength and wit. It's earned him a sterling reputation in every port across the globe, particularly in Sydney, where Silas set ashore last night. But this morning, the smell of the briny air carries dread as well as joy. There's something in his past, something in Innsmouth, that he knows will someday catch up to him. I moved over to Sydney. We'll take a look at his fishing net. You may reroll 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. Reduce the damage of monsters you encounter by 1 to a minimum of 1. Okay. So we'll set that into the slot. And then we'll look at his personal story. The Call. There is a secret in your blood, a dark legacy that sings to you in your sleep, drawing you toward the deep, dark waters, but you are the master of your own destiny. You are tied to the fate of this world and it to you. You will not abandon it. Not now. When you spend a resource, place that resource on this card. Then, if there are 5 or more resources on this card, discard this card and gain the Smooth Sailing reward. When you have only 1 sanity, discard this card and gain the Dark Depths consequence. Alright, so that's Silas all set up. Now we're into the investigation, the action phase. And I think we will welcome Silas in by having him be our first player, but his turn will take us over to the board. His component action will take him to space 18, and then his additional action will take him to space 15 with Michael, since that is along a ship path. And then he's going to acquire assets. Here we go. We need 3 dice. I'm hoping to get a 2 so I can get that assassination. One, if I take a debt condition, and I will. So Silas will take a debt condition. Local action, test influence. If you pass, discard this card. And on a reckoning, some men have come to collect on your debt, flip. But that will give me the 25 automatic and the assassination. So the 25 automatic will let me roll an additional die during a strength test on combat. And then assassination will put 2 more damage on the bloated woman. So we'll do that, and then we need 2 fresh assets we find. Police watch for 1. You can't become delayed unless you choose to. And an 18 Derringer for 1. You may add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. So anyway, that's Silas. Charlie, I think, will go second since he's right here in shot. He's going to move to Sydney, and he's going to get a focus. That was nice and quick. Anyway, that will do it for Charlie and Silas. Now let's move up and see what. Let's see what Tony's going to do. We need to be able to close gates in a hurry. The problem here is that they're all guarded. So I think Tony is going to try to acquire assets just to move things, just to try to get some things out of the reserve. So he's got an influence of 2. Mostly I think I want that 18 Derringer just to give me something. Alright, 1 success will give me the 18 Derringer. And then replacing it in the reserve will be the Cultist's Journal for 3. Gain 2 will and 2 strength during combat encounters. He's actually... And then Tony's second action is just going to be to take a focus. I think he's going to have to play patty cake with the Honored Dead. And then Wilson... Wilson, I think, will... we saw... Okay, hold up. I did forget. We solved the rumor during the Mythos phase, so Wilson should have failed his personal story. Right. Too little, too late. Your maximum health is reduced by 2, and you can't roll each die more than once. That's not terribly catastrophic, but it is more problematic than anything. So Wilson is going to... I think he's going to try to acquire assets as well. We need to get some firepower here. That Cultist's Journal might be worth a debt condition. Yeah, he's going to take one as well. We saw this with... No, Silas took one. I'm playing a lot more... I'm going to take the Cultist's Journal. I'm playing a lot more dangerously with deck conditions than I normally do in this game. But of course, Jenny's normally on my team, so... Normally I'm able to say on one acquire assets per turn, nope, Daddy's paying for this one. Then anyway, we find an enchanted blade for 3, 1 strength or 1 will and 3 strength during combat encounters. That might be another good weapon actually. But let's see, I think it was focus and acquire assets. Okay, so Wilson's all done. That's it for the action phase. Encounter phase, let's go to Silas down in South Africa. We have both Silas and Charlie in shot. So Silas is going to start off by encountering Michael, who is defeated by Sanity. McGlenn tells you that Louis came to him in a dream and asked him to steal some jewelry from a museum for his new boss. After this robbery, McGlenn says, he's going to join a new gang under the waves, and there's no talking him out of it. But first, he wants to cut you in on the deal, and the new boss is willing to pay big. You may spend 2 sanity and gain a wanted condition to gain all of his possessions, and a promise of power condition. Whether you accept the offer or not, discard his investigator token. Well, remembering that we have the Tommy gun over here, I think I am going to take the 2 sanity and a wanted condition. You can't perform acquire assets actions. When you perform a travel action, you may roll 1 die. On a blessed success, discard this card. Reckoning, test observation. If you fail, flip. And a promise of power, which is... where? Here it is. Promise of Power. You may discard this card to reroll any number of dice when resolving a test. As an action, roll 1 die. On a 6, your patience has finally been rewarded. Flip this card. Okay, so we'll put that there. Then we'll put all of his possessions on Silas. And 4. Okay, that will do it for Silas. Now let's move over to Charlie. Well, that's a derp on my part. I had Charlie in shot because I was going to do both of them there, and I cut anyway. So, coming back to this, Charlie is in Sydney. Several passengers on an underground train have been trapped by a tunnel collapse. The dark and claustrophobic climb through the rubble is terrifying. Will. Charlie's will is 2 and he has a reroll. Actually, he's got a couple of rerolls. None of which he needs. Oh, he had the sledgehammer, so he actually had 1 more. Not that it matters. If you... oh no, will. Never mind. If you pass, your nerves hold out enough to help dig out a clear path for the survivors. Improve strength. Very nice. Mildly surprising, actually. The old man's actually doing some strength feats in this game. But anyway, that will do it for Charlie. Let's go pay Tony and Wilson a visit. Tony will be up first. He is having an encounter in Rome. The Vatican Library is so vast. You ask a librarian for a recommendation. Influence. His influence is pretty paltry at 2. It isn't complete garbage, but it's not very good either. I think we will fail that and avoid good stuff. So nothing happens there. That's fortunate. And then Wilson gets a generic city encounter. There, yep. You wander through the aisles of an antique bookstore. Although many extremely rare books can be found here, the organizational system is almost impossible to decipher. Lore -1, which is probably going to be a laugh for Wilson, but I've had some pretty laughs tests before, so I've had some pretty laughs tests that I've passed. This is not going to be one of them. Unsurprising, so we just avoid good stuff again. But anyway, that will do it for the encounter phase, so let's move back up top for the mythos phase. I'm leaving the dice tower in shot in case we end up getting a yellow card. And if this mythos phase ends up being catastrophic enough, I'm just going to eat the L and we'll go into Arkham down 1 zip in the Summer of Lovecraft. Let's see what we get here, though. It's a yellow. I wish I could even pretend that to be surprised. So, Omen movement. We have three red gates on the board, so Doom advances by 3. Reckoning. I don't think we have any monsters. Ah, yes we do. The Honored Dead. On a 1 or a 2, Tony's going to end up cursed. That's a 6, so Tony is not cursed. Alright. Ancient 1, 2 more Eldritch tokens going out. Charlie can take 1, and Silas can take 1. They're our newest investigators. Mythos cards, none in play. Possessions and conditions. Here's where the catastrophe could end up happening. So, first... I've got a couple of conditions here that I've got to roll for Silas, and then his debt is just going to flip. But, let's see. His observation's 3, so I'm going to use... So once again, I'm going to use the normal set of dice for the wanted condition, and then that cursed die for the promise of power. Once again, so I can roll multiple of these at once. Let's see. Wanted fails, and the promise of power doesn't flip. So... we'll bring the debt condition over because that'll be flipping in a second as well. But we'll deal with wanted first. The crowd drags you toward a crude gallows in the middle of the street. Lose 2 health and impair strength and will, then discard. So 2 health and discard strength and will. 2 stats I did not want Silas to be impairing at all. But no help for it now. Strength and will, then that gets discarded, then the debt. The people you owe have decided to make an example of you. Gain a wanted condition, then discard. Fantastic. So we get rid of 1 wanted condition, just to end up with another one. What fun. This time we will take a different one. Actually, I'll shuffle that one back in, which is technically how you're supposed to do this, but given how catastrophically bad things are going, it may not matter too much longer. Right, so Silas flipped that. Charlie is going to be quite busy as well. Let's see if I can do several of these rolls in one shot. Let's see here. Okay, that just loses sanity. That's fortunate. We'll do corruption last. Okay, so internal injuries is strength. Actually, internal and leg injuries are both strength tests. So we're going to roll that die for internal injury, blue for leg injury, and red for the Dark Pact. So what is it? 2 4s actually, because we do have the sledgehammer hiding in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So we don't want to see any of these flipping. Okay, none of them flip, so that's a relief. He wasn't cursed, was he? No. Okay, we did the despair already as well. So thankfully none of those ended up flipping. Right, yeah. Okay, so we can get rid of all of that. Let's see. And then do you have anything else? Oh, corruption. So we'll give him an Eldritch. Whoops. Well, I'm going to be flipping that in a second, so it's fine if it fell over anyway. So, yeah. So we'll give him a second Eldritch token. And then we'll flip corruption. You may gain a Dark Pact, yada yada yada. We have 2 Eldritch tokens, so we lose 1 and 1 unless we discard a possession. Well, it's going to be the Dream Box and the Sledgehammer, because I can't afford to lose that much health. And then that flips back. Because of course it does. Tony's got no reckonings. Wilson's got a reckoning that he's going to be flipping here once I get that back in. So transfer debt. We have already taken care of your debts. Now we need something from you. The man grins and hands you a manila folder with your instructions. We trust you'll hold up your side of the deal. Gain an agreement condition, then discard this card. Oh boy. Agreement. Local action, test influence -1. If you pass, you may spend 2 clues to discard this card. On a reckoning, roll a 1 die. On a 1 or 2, the time has come for you to pay your dues. Flip this card. Alright, that's all of our possessions and conditions. Now we spawn a gate. So our next gate is London, and I think that might... I'm thinking... Because now we have 2 gates, now we have 4 blue gates on the board, and we're moving to Blue Constellation. If we can't close 2 of those gates, the game's just going to be over, because we'll advance to blue on the Mythos phase, and we'll end up doomed to wake Nyarlathotep up. We get a cultist out, though. Oh, this just continues to get worse and worse. The exhausting regimen is taking a terrible toll on your body. You're not eating. You're not sleeping. Pain is your constant companion. Despite this, you know that you walk the path necessary to master the abilities you need to fight this dark threat. Work to the Brink event. The lead investigator loses all but 1 health. So Silas goes down to 1 health, which thankfully doesn't fail his personal story. And if he loses 5 or more health, which he did, he gains a talent condition. So Silas will In a talent condition, he'll get Guts. Which is right here. When resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +2 will during that encounter. If you do, flip this card before resolving the test. Okay, so with that in mind, there's an argument to be made to just eat the L and call it a day. Because the problem right now is we have 4 blue gates on the board, and we're moving to a blue gate, and we're moving to blue constellation. Tony probably can't get past the pyramids. Tony probably can't get past the undead at the pyramids. Unless I send Wilson down with his ship ticket. He might have a better chance of doing that. The problem is if any of these miss, then we're just going to advance Doom to 0 when Nyarlathotep, in the Mythos phase, when Nyarlathotep will wake up. So I guess we'll play it out until we get to a gate that we can't close. So our first player will be Silas. It honestly feels like we're prolonging the inevitable at this point, but we're going to try this. So Silas is going to use his component action to move along a ship path. Then he's going to travel to Buenos Aires, which will let him roll his wanted condition. So on a blessed success, he gets to discard it. Which he will discard his wanted condition, thankfully. He got out of South Africa without any problems. And then his additional action will be to take a focus, because we need rerolls in order to keep any hope of winning this game alive. Anyway, that will do it for Silas. Now let's go down. Now let's go over to Charlie. Actually, no. We're not going to do Charlie. We're going to try to deal with the gates first. That way, if the encounter phase ends with any of these gates still up, actually we can miss one gate. We can miss one gate. Actually, can we? Sorry, I'm thinking these numbers through. We have 3 doom left, and we're about to advance to. We have 3 doom left. We're about to advance to blue, so I have to close 2 of these gates, which means yes, I can miss 1. So let's go up to Tony and Wilson next. Tony will take a focus and move up to London to try to deal with the cultist up there. Then Wilson, this is the gate I'm expecting. I wonder, actually. I was thinking about going to Wilson next, but then I just had a thought. If Charlie kills that, if Charlie's able to put some damage on that honored dead, and Wilson can kill it, then we suddenly have another gate we can look at. I think that's the better idea, actually. So instead of that, let's move over to Charlie next. Of course, there's also the thing to remember here that if both Silas and Tony miss, then anything after that isn't going to matter. So Charlie's going to take a ship ticket and move up to Tokyo. The original idea I had for Charlie was, assuming we get the gates under control, then we try to put some damage on the bloated woman, because we're actually 2 damage away from solving that mystery. But I'm getting a little bit off topic there. So anyway, we'll move over to Wilson. Normally, I would do these investigators slightly out of order in the encounter phase for the efficiency of the shot, but this time the order is too important, so we're going to do everything completely in order. Anyway, Wilson will take a focus, and then he'll move to Roam and burn his train ticket to get down to the pyramids. Or not his train ticket, his ship ticket to get down to the pyramids. That is it for the action phase. Now we're into the encounter phase, and here is our moment of truth. We can miss one gate on these, and I'd rather it not be the first one. I'd rather have some chance of going into the next gate and being able to continue the game. Yuggoth. You discover a series of large blue objects with discs attached by metal rods. You believe the Migo transmit information using these discs and try to learn what you can about Yuggoth. Lore -1, Silas's lore is 1, and this is where we're going to need rerolls. Which is unfortunate, but it can't be helped. A 2 will burn his focus. A 1, and I think we have to discard... Yeah, wait a minute. That's an additional die. I've not been paying attention to Eric Weiss at all. So we get an additional die for that, which we pass. All right, so I can save the promise of power for the time being. You receive a telepathic image of a way home. Close this gate. Nice. The disc begins to alter your brain. Will -1, which is will is 2 -1 is 1. Joy. That wasn't the roll. That's a 1, which is a fail. If you fail, the changes are irreversible. Lose 1 sanity and gain a head injury condition. The most important part there is that we managed to get out of the gate situation, but now we have a new problem on our hands. Because if Silas goes down, basically Silas is going to act as a pseudo gate, essentially. So if we lose sanity for any reason during the Mythos phase, which is very easy to have happen, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Head injury, when you perform a rest action, you can't recover sanity, roll 1 die. Blessed success discarded, and on a reckoning, test strength. If you fail, flip. Anyway, what I was saying is, Silas is now going to act as a pseudo sanity law, as a pseudo, what's the word I want? Silas would act as a gate if he bit it. And actually, with 1 sanity, now we fail his personal story. Dark Depths. If you would be defeated, you are devoured instead. Reckoning, lose 1 sanity. The situation we're in right now, that won't make a big difference. But the difference between being defeated and being devoured is if you're defeated, as you've seen before, we can have investigators, we can have encounters to try to recover your stuff. But if you're devoured, you're eliminated from the game and your stuff can't be recovered. So, and that reckoning effect is going to be a huge problem. So we basically are trying to duck a yellow card at this point. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. So now I think we need all these gates to get closed. But to do that, we need to go up to Tony and see what we can do about dealing with a cultist. Alright, Tony is a will -1 test. His will is 2, -1 is 1. So if we fail the test, we gain a corruption condition. Which we don't. And then straight strength. So 3 dice, and we can add 1 to the result of 1 of these. I'm hoping I don't need any foci here, because I want to be able to use them in the gate. I don't need them, thankfully. So the cultist is defeated. Tony gets it as a trophy. and then he will encounter the gate as well. Plateau of Leng. Something on the horizon attracts your attention. Before you can identify it, a blinding snowstorm picks up. Through the snow, you are no longer sure of the direction you're going. Resolve the pass effect to press forward, or resolve the fail effect to turn back. Pressing forward seems like a will test. Turning back is probably... One of these is an observation test, I think. The question is which one. Pressing forward might actually be an observation test. Now, actually, I think it's observation and will, but I can't think of which is which. Turning back seems like it's going to be an observation test, so let's turn back. Well, I made a mess of it. The storm seems to follow you, and you begin to sense an eerie presence. Suddenly, you stumble onto the deck of a ship and beg for the crew's assistance. Influence -1. Oh, joy. We are going to reroll that 6, and I've got 2 foci to spend into this, because we need to close this gate. That's a 1, spending first focus. Second focus. Doesn't get there. Come on, this thing does not want to focus today. Let me try to zoom out just a touch. There we go. Whether you pass or not, move to space 13, which actually isn't too terribly bad for Tony. I'll go ahead and reposition the dice tower for the shot. Actually, we can probably just reposition the camera slightly to get both Wilson and Charlie in shot. Charlie is up first in Tokyo, so let's see what's happening in Tokyo. The Double Leaf Society deploys armed men to help you. A monster of your choice loses 2 health. That is just perfect. Because the question here is now we're back into the situation of I don't think we can afford to try to solve the mystery right now. I think we've got to put the 2 damage on the honored dead. Although with Silas in peril right now, I don't like our odds. In return, they want money. Influence. His influence is still 5, and we've got a reroll. And I think, yep, okay, so we got 2 successes out of that. If you pass, you offer plenty. Gain 1 random service asset from the deck. Alright, so we'll take the first service we find. There we go. Except that's a pretty crappy service to see right now, especially when our clues got wiped not too long ago. Wireless report. When you gain this card, immediately give any number of clues to another investigator on any space, then discard. Yeah, like I said, pretty crappy time to see that. But we've got Wilson and shot here. So the honored dead is... That's a straight will. So his will right now is 3 plus 2 is 5. That's straight will. Okay. We need 2 successes to not take sanity damage. Or to not lose sanity. Wow. That's pretty good. And then strength plus 2. So actually, because he didn't lose sanity during this, he gains a clue. Which I know you can also burn clues for rerolls, which I might end up having to do just to try to save this game. But let's see, 4 plus 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So we'll just keep these 5 dice, and we need 3 successes to not lose health, but the more important number is 1 to kill it. Which we have 1 in there, so I'll take the 2 health, and we'll get rid of this honored dead. Mostly because I desperately need to be able to get into that gate, so I don't even care about taking the health damage at this point. And then we'll get a gate encounter for Wilson. Wilson's encounter is taking us. To the city of the Great Race. You hear the sound of a terrible gust of wind and listen carefully to determine the origin of the sound. You may spend 1 clue to resolve the pass effect. If you do not, resolve the fail effect, and I will spend 1 clue. So that gives us this. Something large and powerful is trying to break through a sealed trap door. The racket is startling, and you consider running away. Will. We'll get that success, and we'll roll that. There's a pass. If you pass, you resolve to fend off the terrible beast, and with the aid of the Yithians, you close this gate. Nice. So we get rid of the gate. Which means for the time being, we have ducked catastrophe, but we're also getting ready to head into the mythos phase. So let's move back up top for that. I would be lying if I said we were out of the woods. With 2 blue gates on the board, and Silas at 1, Silas at 1 and 1, we are very much up against the wall here. I would say, I wouldn't quite say a yellow card just ends the game right here, but we're not going to be too far from it, I don't think. So let's see what we get. Oh boy, it's a green. Omen advances by... Okay, so we move to blue. Omen advances by 2. Or Doom advances by 2. Then we have a Monster Surge, which gives us 2 monsters at Relay and in London. So now we might just be up against it. Right, to Relay first. We find a witch and a maniac. Take a look at the witch first. Will -1, no successes, but if you fail the will test, gain a cursed condition. Strength -1, need 1 success to not lose health, 1 toughness to kill it. And on a reckoning, each investigator who has a cursed condition loses 1 health. The maniac... Will +1, 1 success to not lose sanity. Strength -1, 2 successes to not lose sanity, or not lose health, 1 toughness to kill. If you fail the strength test, you may discard 1 ally instead of losing health. And if you defeat this monster during a combat encounter, gain an axe asset. And then going to London. There we go. We have a cultist and a moon beast. So the moon beast, will -1, 2 successes to not lose sanity, strength -1, 3 successes to not lose health, 4 toughness to kill it, and you may discard an item possession instead of resolving the strength test. So those are both going to London. And then we get 2 clues. Space 15 and Tel El Amarna. I'm finally getting that right. Right, down here in South Africa. You have been surrounded by corruption for so long that it has permeated everything you touch. Somehow, all of your food supplies have grown rancid overnight. Tainted rations. Each investigator loses 3 health unless he gains a poisoned condition. Well, there's a decision to be made here. The honest question, if I'm being honest at this point, I don't think we're going to be able to salvage this game, because we're at 1 doom right now. Next time an investigator bites it, Nyarlathotep's awake and we're tapping out anyway. So, I think we'll just have Silas. Well, Silas is the first player anyway, so that actually works out very well. So I think he will take the 3 health, which will bring us down to 0 doom. Nyarlathotep would wake up, except we're just going to tap out at this point, because things just went haywire very quickly, and it was a long slog downhill. So anyway, since we're already up top for the Mythos phase, we'll just go ahead and wrap the video up. So I'll just make a quick note here. Silas is also out. That will do it for this playthrough of Eldritch Horror. So we're down 0-1 in the Summer of Lovecraft right now. Next week, the Summer of Lovecraft will continue as we follow Nyarlathotep into Arkham, where we'll play Arkham's Horror 2nd Edition with its own Egyptian flavor, and our investigators will start down 1 health and 1 sanity. In addition, we'll have a new investigator to replace Silas. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.